Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the 230 Conversations podcast. So excited to have you guys joining us today, and so excited that we have Amajita right here. Jacob too. So this is the first of its kind that we're having, where we have a Gents talk, where we talk about things that male people go through and our perspective of things that we go through as well. So first of all, because we're a Christian podcast and we believe in the second coming of our Lord and Savior, can I get an amen? Hallelujah. We're going to have a word of prayer. Let us pray. Father in heaven, thank you. Thank you for bringing us all together in this place. We're about to discuss pertinent issues that go to us and are for us. May you help us, Lord, to speak from a perspective of heaven, to talk about reality as it is. Be with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Hallelujah.
All right. Thank you once again. So we ask you guys to please do subscribe to the channel, like and comment, and also get excited with the guys that we have here. Gugu, that's the name. Mine is Umta. This is Ashley, and this is Pastor Powerful.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So guys, this is as simple as it gets. We have a bowel. How do we pronounce bowel or bowel?
It depends on where you attended school.
Bowl, right? We got a bowl here.
Yeah.
We got a bowl here, and we have certain topics that we would like to talk about. Sure. So I'm just going to swirl it around. Then I'll give it over to our pastor to pick the first topic.
The one at the bottom.
All right, go for it. Yay. No one saw that. No one saw that.
Why are you? Are you a man?
Oh my word, it's a good one. You better guess what it is. Mfundisi, blessed are you because you picked dating and marriage. That's how we're going to start.
Nice.
From the perspective of guys. You guys think about this.
We'll only spend like 2 minutes.
Yeah, man. We just don't have much to say around that. All right, so we're going to talk about dating and marriage as something that, from a guy's perspective, is a gent's talk. So let's talk about these things, man. Dating and marriage.
That's
especially in the context of the time that we're at and the things that we go through. So what's our take on that? You know? We talk about dating and marriage.
Dating is a sin.
Oh, hey, Fundis. Keep in podcast. Keep in. Fast so.
I mean, I must lay the ground, you know? No. You know, I'm going to be a little bit extreme on the conservative and then we'll come back.
All right. Sure.
Yeah, because Isaac didn't date. Mm-hmm. No. Woman came, he got married.
Sure.
That was it.
And that's also an arranged marriage.
Well, yeah, but there was no dating. We're talking about dating now.
Didn't Ruth and Boaz date?
Well,
Also arranged marriage.
I think it was probably arranged as well.
It was sort of arranged. I mean, she was given instruction to go and...
Smart move, though.
It's very smart move.
And I think that's something that we should do in dating. We should be smart, man.
Yeah.
Because hate is real, Baba, out there.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, man.
So we should date. It's a sin, but we must do it.
But I think, but what's the rationale behind that? What are we doing when we, and also in line with that, it's something I always think about. The success of any relationship, because our topic is dating and marriage, success of any relationship, should it always lead to marriage? Or the success of a relationship is the relationship itself?
I'm going to quote him because it always sticks in my brain.
Right.
Because I heard him say that a breakup is a successful courtship.
The objective of a relationship is to determine whether the two of you are compatible or not.
Okay.
It's not necessarily marriage. Marriage is a prospect.
Yeah.
But that's not the ultimate goal of the relationship. So
To
if
determine whether it's a viable prospect.
So if you're dating and the relationship doesn't work, you break up.
Successful.
The objectives of the relationship were achieved.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you must celebrate.
Maybe not necessarily.
But it was.
But the process was a success. You were on a fact-finding mission and you found the facts and you acted on them. In fact, there are a lot of relationships and marriages that are struggling because the courtship succeeded.
Hey.
It wasn't thorough enough to reveal, or it wasn't authentic enough to fail on the basis
Are you saying authenticity always leads to failure?
No. I'm saying the two could be stuck in a dysfunctional marriage or relationship because of what seemed to have been a success when it wasn't.
Sure.
So you'd rather have the courtship, the initial thing,
Yeah.
give you the facts that no, it's not going to work.
not gonna
So,
work.
Bega, you know what the problem is?
Sure.
Now, so courtship now, not now, well, I don't know what it was before, but people are just going through the motions and it's not achieving its true intent and purpose.
Which is?
That fact-finding mission.
Sure.
Because what you then do is that you're ignoring the red flags. Because what you then do, I've seen a nice gent, I've seen a nice lady. So speaking from it, I've seen a nice lady. I'm serving the Adventist principle saying that you must
do this and that.
so that we can go and then marry. So now you're already preparing for marriage. And you are ignoring the very purpose. You're supposed to be finding those facts. Are we compatible for marriage?
Sure.
Is this thing going to work?
Yeah.
And then chigi. In fact, a lot of people, well, I don't have the stats, so let me not make assumptions, but the observation is that some people begin courting during the marriage. After the wedding day, then they begin courting. And that's when the fact-finding commences.
But the question is this: is there somebody who's perfect? If you are on a fact-finding mission,
Exactly. So and how
are you looking for perfection?
Yes.
And if you are looking for perfection, will you find perfection?
How far should you ignore the red flags?
Yes, how far do you ignore the red flags?
Yeah, compatibility and all.
I think, there's no formula, but I think there are some non-negotiables. In software development, there's something we would call sane defaults. In other words, the software could work whichever way, whatever features you want to use. But as a developer, you'd need to at least set up a few fundamentals.
Okay.
All right.
So no one is perfect, but I think each person would have a set of what they would call non-negotiables.
Yeah, sure.
You're not looking for somebody who is an all-rounder.
Yeah.
But you know your no-nos.
Yeah, makes sense.
You understand?
Sure.
So for me, I think we can sort of benchmark around that.
Yeah, but guys, also in that, what's the hardest thing about dating as a male, man?
Sure.
Yeah.
As a who?
As a male.
I mean, it still goes back to this very same thing. The hardest thing for a gender, there's a lot of other things like when you go to specifics and what's on it. But as a much gender, primarily we're attracted to looks and looks and looks. So
Why do you sound like you're demonizing?
No, man.
No, I'm not demonizing.
Look how important.
No, wait. Some of us are sapiosexual. So looks, yes, are there, but if the brain is not looking proper, you don't look. Once you go past the third sentence, you already know this is not attractive.
This is not gonna work.
It doesn't matter how beautiful the person is. Once you go through past the third sentence,
But again, can we not looks and looks and looks.
So looks, brain.
Yeah, but I also feel like in the perspective of our church, the dating theology around it is just look for a spiritual partner. Everything else really, if it's there, it's a plus. But just make sure that this person is equally yoked with you, believe in the same doctrines you do, loves the Lord as you do, blah, blah, which are great. But I feel we mustn't put that as the highest of them all and the others suffer. We would definitely love to have a good-looking spiritual girl.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure. So one mustn't die because of the other. I think equally as well, it would be nice. I mean, the Bible talks about Sarah. Sarah was beautiful. So beautiful that Abraham was scared that if he would die. I mean, imagine having someone so beautiful that you're scared people will kill you for her.
Sarah was turning heads at 90.
Hallelujah. At 90, Baba. You can imagine at 25. Yeah.
So, but I also have a challenge with our sort of church stance on the issue of relationships and marriage, particularly when it comes to issue of equally yoked and so forth. Because we tend now to confine the equal yoking to denomination.
Okay.
And the church is a bit cagey about the issue. Sometimes I would argue that religion and truth don't have a very good relationship. And a typical Adventist pastor is not going to tell you that you are an Adventist, you're dating an Anglican, you're dating an atheist, you're dating somebody who doesn't go to church. Look, you might have some challenges, but look, God is still with you. You're not going to get that from a typical Adventist pastor.
Yeah.
What you get is that you are a Christian, you're with somebody who's not a Christian. The impression you get is that God is not happy. God is not happy with you. You have no support of the church. God is not in it. It may not be said like that explicitly, but those are the innuendos that you get when you go into your, these dating, courtship, premarital, marital, counseling and those kind of sessions.
Yeah.
And I find that to be problematic because then some people would tend to discover that, look, but the God that I have discovered as a person is broader than that. People discover on their own that the God they discover on their own is broader and bigger than the God the church is selling them.
Exactly.
So the church has a tendency, religion has a tendency to weaponize God, to try and corral people into a corner and get them to do whatever they want people to do. So we need to rethink that issue. What does that really mean?
Equal yoking. What does thou shalt not be equally yoked even mean? At what point in time are we talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about
when do we measure the equal yoke?
Let me attempt to answer that.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot, but it's okay.
Yeah.
First and foremost, God is when God looks at two people, he looks at them as Christians. Does not look at them as an Adventist and Anglican or he looks at them as Christians because both are his kids. Both are loved by him.
Hallelujah.
So if you are going to monopolize God and make him an Adventist and say that God does not want you to date an Anglican and take out the Christianity equation, then what you are actually saying is that the equally yoked issue is an Adventist problem. Yes, right? It's an Adventist concept that only belongs to Adventism, right? Now, here's something I learned recently. This guy was telling me, was sharing with me how it's done traditionally. He says, when you're dating someone, from a traditional perspective, if you are a Mzalwane or whatever, the girl is a Mzalwane, the guy is Pandla, very traditional,
and all that,
Matlozi and all of that. If that girl is like that, that girl must know that she needs to change from being Mzalwane, a Christian, into this Pandla thing. That's what equally yoked actually means. It means that you must come into agreement with whatever principles that are going to run your family. If you don't come into agreement about those principles, that thing is never going to work. You are then effectively unequally yoked. So, if you are taking an Adventist and an Anglican and you bring them together and the Christian principles are not the same, then they are unequally yoked. But if you take the same Anglican and Adventist, you bring them together and the Christian principles are the same. This Anglican tells you, look, I observe the Sabbath. The only difference is that it's on a Sunday and we can talk about the issue of the Sunday and then come to an agreement that no, we'll observe it on Sabbath, on the real Sabbath. Then you have effectively created an equally yoked situation.
Let me ask you a question.
Evangelism by dating,
can I ask you a question? I want to ask Mfundisi a question.
Sure.
So you say that the two must come to an agreement for them to be equally yoked.
Sure.
The same Bible then says, how can two walk together
unless they agreed upon?
Yes.
The Bible also says that the grounds for divorce would be adultery.
Sure.
Right.
And I don't think there's
effectively
anything else
saying disagreement.
But what I want to ask you now.
Okay.
So we've come together and there's an agreement.
Mm.
And you say that we are equally yoked.
Mm.
And then tomorrow I leave the Adventist faith.
Mm-hmm.
So I then decide in the marriage. So now we've become married for purposes. I think we needed to tick the box,
Yeah.
so that we can then walk down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
Then 3 years later, I'm unticking the box.
Mm-hmm.
Does that then become a ground for divorce without me having committed adultery?
You know, Jesus answers that question and he says, you guys are too hard-hearted because Moses actually was saying to the guys when he was saying the only grounds for divorce is adultery, right? So the problem effectively becomes once you change the position, you are an advocate, you understand this better. You break the contract or the agreement that was there, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you must divorce. What it does mean, though, is that there must be a renegotiation. There must be a realignment.
What would they entail? Because my question goes to, at what point do we measure this equally yokedness? Is it at the point prior to the marriage so that we can enter into the marriage? And then what happens if we then become unequally yoked during the marriage
itself?
You know what you're saying has an undertone, and I might be wrong, by the way, but it has an undertone of a leaderless marriage or a leaderless relationship. Because if the relationship has a leader, then whatever the leader is going to decide is whatever the family needs to follow.
Yeah, but hey, guys,
Can I just
Because
jump in?
listen,
Should it be?
let me explain something. If the leader decides to go astray, right?
Who is the leader?
The man
By virtue of?
Ephesians 5.
Yabona ke manje. Nginenkinga la.
No, wait. Let me finish cooking.
Okay.
Let me finish cooking.
Cool.
So when that leader makes a decision that is contrary to the original decision, then everybody follows.
Sure.
Now, remember, God winks at your days of ignorance. So when the guy is ignorant, the souls of these people that he's leading astray God is going to look for those souls from this guy, right? So when God then deals with the souls that have been led astray, God then asks them if they were able to follow what he commanded, right? Which is to say that they must follow they must follow the agreement that has been there in the family. So the family unit, if it turns, let's say it turns away and it goes to Satanism, like an extreme thing, right? Now, the problem will be that you guys, were you able to have faith enough to pray that guy back?
Yeah, that's a tall order, hey?
Yeah,
Like, because
it is.
I think this is where I feel church relationships really set us for failure.
Okay.
Yeah. By construct, they really do not border on being real or practical. They border on a superficial spiritual life that you must have. And they border on a lot of assumptions. Because if you're SDA and I'm SDA, if you're Anglican and you're Baptist and you're Zion or whatever, there's a lot of assumptions that I make about you, right? By virtue of that. So there's no realism that goes in. That's why you'll find that church relationships, I don't know the stats, but they're one of the most failed relationships that we have.
Sure.
A lot of us have dated. I'm not giving the stats.
From some research that he made.
Yeah, I think mentored. I've got experience about because I mean you look at it. There's barely any realism that goes with it, any practicality to begin with. And I feel the whole equal yoking is really a technical way to manage a relationship
And to manage congregants.
in that particular thing, right? But it's a really technical thing. It makes sense. It may not be the crux of it, but it makes sense for me to be with someone who's SDA. this is a Friday night. We have Sabbath worship. We go to church tomorrow. It makes sense. But it is not the ingredient for a successful relationship.
They would say it's not salvific.
Yeah.
The issue doesn't pertain unto salvation. That's where my beef is. It is made as if it's meant to sound like you cross the line. Your salvation is at stake.
Right.
And for me, that's the argument that I would make to say, but you then, religion then presents a very small-minded parochial God that on a moral frame I can perform better than.
Are you saying then that those who are not Adventists and those who are not Christian will never enter heaven?
No. That's not what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is...
But I mean, we're taking the family out of Christianity and we're moving it into...
But we're also saying that a successful relationship is not necessarily Christian. Neither is it Adventist.
Yes,
so then we have no basis to then say to the people that anything that is not Adventist cannot work.
I agree with you, which is why I'm saying agreement is the best part, is the main part about this.
I'm saying even if you are officially unequally yoked, you are still both candidates of heaven. That's the same point.
No, definitely. But not together, because you are not in agreement.
There's an element of self-righteousness here that needs to be addressed.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you, have you ever seen people that are unequally yoked in a relationship?
Actually, who goes looking for that?
I don't know, because you guys, there's so much time.
But you know...
Let me make my point. The problem is, there's this level of self-righteousness that we elevate ourselves to a certain level that we think that we are only deserving of a certain kind of partners. And the challenge that you will have is that you know most of, and I've never seen them, but I'm going to tell you now that in the spirit I'm being shown.
In the spirit?
In the spirit I'm being shown that there are a lot of unequally yoked relationships amongst the saints in the Seventh-day Adventist.
Oh man, you can say that again.
Because the guy really wants that yellow bone. The guy wants that freakiness. You know, he wants, but now because he's always preaching and he's always quoting verses and what's or not, we have now elevated him to a certain status and have fed him with information that he must have a partner that is as he appears to be, not as he is.
Exactly.
So then he then settles with that partner, and then in that settlement, unfortunately, the guys, I'm not going to make examples of anything
that you know,
national TV or whatever, but and you then find the guy being drawn to where he is really equally yoked. So in the eyes of the saints, when we look at this guy, Nonkoska's wake, and they are wearing long dresses and they come in before 9 o'clock, they prayer band, and we are seeing them as equal. It's what it appears to be, but it's not what it is.
Exactly, which is what I was arguing, Ashley, that one must not...
Don't argue, my brother.
One must not supersede the other. If you like women who are built in a certain way, brother man, go for it.
Yeah.
Don't compromise. No matter how...
You're going to have a problem.
Exactly.
You're going to go for it at the wrong time.
If you like slender, Baba, go for slender. You like Big Mama, go for Big Mama. No matter how spiritual slender is, don't go for her. That's not what you want.
Let's take it further. Let's stop making assumptions that people are unequally yoked because we saw them wearing a suit and we decided that we expect of them to operate at a certain standard.
Yes.
And so now because they have gone and married a lady who is not even a worshipper, and then we say that they are unequally yoked. Those people are very equally yoked. You want the brother he's been hiding himself. Let the brother go and enjoy himself. And then let those who together enjoy spiritual matters.
Ellen White.
Let them.
Genuinely so. Because the problem that we're having is that we push this narrative of don't be equally, but there's no genuinity in it.
Exactly.
This is what you really want. I want an elder to come and sit down with me and say, young man, what do you want?
Exactly.
And I say to hey, my elder.
Yellow bone, bro.
Hey, what's up?
No elder is going to ask you that.
But they come with their own ideas that they'll come and impose on
Misery loves company.
The challenge, I'm not going to blame the elders. I'm going to blame the young man.
Sure.
Who allows these elders to live out their lives or their ideas in him.
Okay.
And then he ends up settling for what he is not. That becomes a problem to him and to his partner. Depression and all other things. Men are going through problems because they failed to be themselves.
Sure.
Konamachita who are in relationships now, not because that is what they want or this is the kind of partner that they really want to be, but they need to be seen to be, a certain person because they've created that image and they want that sense of belonging within a community, in a church set up.
Sure.
If you are listening to this, I'm telling you now, end that relationship now.
But gents,
go for what you want.
Sorry, gents.
Okay, let's give Cookie a chance, eh? Let's give Cookie a chance.
There's an elephant in the room here.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And this elephant has been so long in the room, it has babies now.
Yeah.
And it's triplets. We are skating around the elephant. I appreciate the substance we've thrashed so far, but there's one thing that is never really interrogated in Adventist circles around relationships and marriage, and marital seminars, whatever. The assumption is marriage must always work. I think we need to get out of that box and appreciate that there are no holy cows if we're going to have an honest discussion. Anything can be barbecued.
Yeah.
So I want to completely throw away the assumption that the marriage is a perfect thing that must always work.
Yeah, I mean,
because
some of us might not make a living, so.
if you look at the locus of the discussion so far, and any typical program on relationships, retreats, marital, whatever, the central points of focus are the participants in the marriage. So the conversation is always around, as a man, this is what you need to do. As a woman, this is what you must do. As a couple, this is what you need to do.
What do you say, woman?
I'm okay with that. But when do we interrogate the institution itself? Because there are certain arguable fallacies in the institution of relationships and marriage itself.
Right.
Coming to the issue of unequally yoked.
Yeah.
I just want us to be honest. Let's just take out that religious or cognitive helmet for a moment and afford being honest. Let's just think about this for a short moment. Here is a young person, 24 years old man, young woman. People get married quite young, even these days.
Yeah, they do.
I actually had, I had a conversation with a guy before coming here.
Yeah.
Who just said, when are you getting married? It's like, quite an oldish guy, 46 years. And he, not too oldish, but he just says, you guys are different from us. Because by 18, when they were already...
Yeah.
And I've got you here.
And then me, I'm waiting for the second coming of
But
the
look-
Lord and Savior.
But sorry.
Hallelujah.
That's fine. Someone at the age, let's say 26.
Yeah.
You're making a decision at the age of 26 that you must live by when you're 80.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yo.
Wait, I said the elephant has triplets, right? So the assumption is this. These are the triplets. That the two of you getting into marriage are going to grow. That's the first child. The second child of that fallacy is you will both grow at the same pace. The third child is that you are growing in the same direction. Are we aware that you could be fine for the first 5-10 years, you meet somebody according to your values at that point in time?
Yes.
That's why I was saying, when do
I
we
mean,
measure equally?
do you know how your mind would be operating 20
You
years down
don't
the line?
know. Exactly.
And that's why I was asking the question, at what point we...
And that
There's
makes
a
marriage
starting-
such a risky endeavor.
And we have not come.
Yeah.
We have not come to the
okay.
participants. So we always center on the participants. You must do this. You must do this. Fine. But can we sit down with God and say, when you were structuring this thing, what is this thing? And perhaps that's the reason why Jesus never got married. But anyway, story for another day. But I'm not pessimistic.
Yeah.
I'm being realistic. It can work, but we need to be honest enough to interrogate some aspects of it, which I feel are conceptual, institutional fallacies of the of the institution itself.
Can I say- can I
before we
ask
talk
you-
about what me and you should do.
On the institution, though. Guzo, firstly, I think there was some study that was done at some point in time. I also can't remember. I could be making this thing up. I do dream a lot, as the prophet did say that. Where I think the study found that every 5 years, there is a certain level of development or growth that you go through.
Supposedly, sure.
And in fact, what he said was that every 5 years, you are most likely going to meet your perfect partner at that point in time.
Okay.
So the partner that you had 5 years ago may not be the perfect partner for you
Then 5 years later.
Because either you've outgrown each other or have not grown at the same pace, have different interests and what's or not. And there's a study. But now, I also do not want to be overly pessimistic on it. It is something that I've thought about. And when I asked the question earlier on as to at what stage do we measure being equally yoked, because that could change at various points in time. But the principles that Umfundisi was talking about, can we not operate when we look at the institution and say that there is a certain foundational level, that if that foundation is solid and the parties are of one mind and there's consensus that this is our foundation, regardless of the structure that you're going to be building on that foundation. Sometimes it's going to be rain, sometimes it's going to be storms, sometimes the color is going to be white, sometimes the roof is going to fall off, sometimes it's going to be a perfect roof, we'll renovate. But for as long as the foundation is of a certain nature, then this relationship is going to stand strong.
Yeah, thanks for raising that. And I think that's critical.
Yeah.
And I think those that make it, maybe couples that appreciate this early enough, and that appreciate that what you learn during Sabbath school, afternoon programs at church, and is not sufficient. You're going to need to have these difficult conversations. Take out the facade, take out this religious cloak, and have these
I'm
difficult
not really
conversations.
sure if it's what you learned, more of what you heard.
What you heard.
Because what it goes back to again, Guzo, is what we mentioned earlier, that the courtship, there's a lot of courtship that happens in the marriage and not prior to the marriage. So
If at all it happens.
if at all it happens,
Sure.
you see, and which is problematic again, because what you're now wanting is an institution to work that has absolutely no foundation. Because foundations, that's the in Fundis, whether you can, I'm trying to help you.
No. Let's round it up because we got other topics to really want to run
let's round it up like
run
this.
it up, yeah.
Sure.
The thing we're talking about is actually the crux of salvation. If
And
you
you
look
look
at,
Okay.
And you look for
You want to make an altar call?
yes, please.
So let me partake of the plan.
If you look at the relationship of Adam and Eve,
Yeah.
Adam is given landlordship. Eve comes later. But Eve is the one that turns away from the contract, and Adam follows her. Right? That becomes the whole foundation of how Christ seeks, even Hosea and Gomer.
Yeah.
Christ goes and seeks his wife, right? So the whole foundation of this thing is based on agreement. One needs to go and seek agreement. So to the point that you were making, if there is a change or a shift in that 5-year period, the one who has shifted, right, or the one who has not shifted, whichever
Must follow
one,
the shifter.
whichever one who is got the more powerful, or rather the leader part of
Just
this
say
whole
the
thing,
man.
Yeah, there's no
Man,
problem.
spit it out.
Just be honest.
needs to go and follow the woman.
They'll judge you. I'm in agreement.
Needs to go and follow that woman, right, and convince her to be in agreement with him.
It's like the story of Judges 19.
Oh, that
no,
one,
man,
that's
no,
a painful
no,
one.
no,
Hey,
no.
no, that's a painful one. Hey,
No, we still have a lot to go.
but and man, I think as we get to that, my take then would
because
be
there was no agreement there was just chopping. Sorry.
yeah. So I mean, my take then would be, I think in all things, church, marriage seminars and all are not sufficient to run a successful marriage. This thing is as
Yes,
personal
yes,
as
definitely.
physical pain.
Definitely.
Sure.
Like when you got a toothache, you can try to describe it to someone else, but only you can feel it and understand it really well.
Yeah.
I think honesty is the foundation of all of this. I love Samson. Samson says, I want that one.
Yeah.
And the partners know, but they are those of then no, that's a beautiful example. No, it didn't work, but he was honest. And I think that's the key. Because Samson then says, I want that one. And the question was, why? Because she pleases me well. I think it's such a personal thing when it comes to dating. You pick what you want. It's a very selfish endeavor. Because I need to look for what I want.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not looking for what you want or mfuna lo. If you know me, I love,
Sure.
And I
think it's God who planted that.
Exactly in me to look when I look at someone, I'm like this. I want that one. She pleased me well.
Yes,
Come on. So and I think that's probably what we then should come through.
But let's not give credit to God for the devil's work.
All right. Let's say our next party shot the school on that.
Just one shot.
One shot.
A lot of people normally say relationships suffer because there is communication breakdown. I think that's not true. I think communication suffers because of a relationship breakdown. People know how to communicate when they want to. What creates communication breakdown is relationship breakdown.
Yes,
if I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to talk to you.
Exactly.
Sure.
There is a relationship breakdown. You fix the relationship. Communication
you get to a point when the relationship is broken down and then you get dumped for not using commas and full stops.
Yes.
I'm not referencing
So even the way you chew irritates them.
Yeah.
Like
There's a scientific study. There's a scientific study they did where the psychologist was saying the reason why people shout at each other in a relationship and they're standing right next to each other is because the communication has broken down because the relationship has broken, not the other way around.
No, exactly.
They're not shouting because the relationship is breaking. I mean, they're not shouting so that they can break the relationship. They're shouting because the relationship is already broken.
I want to shout to you guys to choose something. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. We will never end this one. It's beautiful, and I want to hear your comments as you pull through on this one. Mjolo the dating. Who could pick this one here right now?
All right. Do I get to read or I give it to you?
No, you read.
Okay. We're going to be tackling friendship.
Oh, what a beauty. Friendship.
They started as friends, by the way.
It always starts like that. I think friendship is such an... For me, okay, can I ask you guys?
Sure.
Your friends from... I'm thinking about my life. I had the same friends since primary school. And friendship sounds, for me, it's a forever institute. Yes, I've made new friends along the way.
Sure.
I don't think I have a friend. Break up with a friend.
We're gonna go
if anything,
you want to take us back to the dating?
If anything, I've added.
Sure.
Yeah, not broken. And I think that is what friendship is. A forever thing.
Sure.
Maybe even our last marriage by far. Because I think in any friendship, it is real.
Sure.
And practical. And there's no need to impress.
Someone said friendship is an opportunity to choose your family.
Oh, nice.
And I think that's deep because finally you can choose whom you want around you.
Yes.
And it's not out of duress. You know with family, God forbid, but sometimes you can't choose family. And sometimes family is not always easy. Family is family. You can't disown your brother, your sister, and stuff like that. But now when it comes to friends, you are in a position to say, I resonate with this person. I want this kind of tribe around my life, So I think it's something that we tend to take for granted, particularly as men. So I'm glad that we're actually going to be having a conversation about.
Yeah. I think it's a great thing when you talk about friendship. Jesus had friends.
Sure.
Yeah, Peter, James. and John and others.
Yeah.
We're kind of
No, look, I want to take a left turn. I'm waiting for you to, finish beautifying this thing. I really want to take a left turn.
What you mean? You guys have the worst experience. What you mean?
It's not about having worse experiences.
Yes.
It's going in different direction.
Look, here's the thing. You know when you're growing up and they say, choose your friends wisely. And you are choosing friends and the choices that you're making are good for that time. And they backfire later.
Sure.
That's a real problem that most of us think we sorted out in high school. And unfortunately, that problem, some of us, we carry it into our adult lives, whereby our friends don't actually carry us to where we're supposed to be. So our destinies are disrupted by the same friends that we've kept all our lives. I'll give you an example. I can't mention his name, but I had a friend in primary. Yeah. Yeah, I had a friend in primary, and we actually sang together. I was a good guy. And towards the adult life, the guy took a different direction, drugs and this and that and the other. Excuse me. And by the time we got properly into our adult lives, we had to part ways. So choosing friends is also, it needs to have re-evaluation time and time again. And point that you made is important for authenticity. Because when a person chooses a certain road or a certain route, you don't really have to follow or to even keep in close proximity, because friends, like you said, are chosen family, right? So you don't really have to follow that person. If that person's route is not going the way that you're going, you need to sever ties.
I don't know, Bafesu. I think for me, personally, in mischief and in play, I had friends.
Sure.
But in growth and in success, I had to have acquaintances.
Okay.
And the major difference between the two for me is that when you have a friend, there are certain expectations to reciprocate.
Okay.
Which I'm not a big fan of, because there is this illusion of friendship amongst grown-ups, which says that our relationship will only exist to the extent that you are able to reciprocate. And I find that to be very selfish. Not only selfish, I know it's difficult about reciprocating. How is it selfish? That means that whatever I'm giving, you are also giving. It also places a huge burden on our shoulders. As a machita, I don't know what, Guzo, I don't know when last we spoke.
Sure.
But the day that we speak, it's as if we last spoke yesterday. Similarly with Umta. And that's and again, the same chap I was talking about.
And then,
Sorry, niggas in the hack. No, I'm like, in the hack, I go right.
I'm making a point.
Sure. Oh, so we need point out kind of. No, I'm just asking.
My point is, so the guy that I was talking to, now I've forgotten. It's a problem.
You're talking about we can connect anytime. It's like we've always been.
Yeah.
You were going in that direction.
And I don't know. I can't even term that friendship, so to say. Brotherhood, sure. Which for me is something much deeper than friendship. Brotherhood is to know that we can spend forever without speaking to one another.
Sure.
And yet, I still know that there's a guy out there that if he hears that I'm in need of help, he's got my back. This chap here, randomly, he'll fall.
Yeah, great guy, man.
And he prays for you. I have a brother out there who's praying for me. Friendship, unfortunately, I don't know, man. It's just, maybe it's just every time it's like the way friendship was good when we were young and we were being mischievous and playful and all of those type of things. Now friendship plays itself more amongst our female counterparts. That's where you find this technology, best friend forever, what, and all of these acronyms and whatnot, which usually does not end well. So I don't know if his brothers.
No, but I think we're actually neutral.
No, next kanjani. It's just that there's no bad, man. If Guzo misses my birthday, and yet I wished him happy birthday on his birthday,
There's no big
deal to me.
Sure.
But this friendship thing, that's what I was like on reciprocate. There's this expectation to reciprocate.
But is there? I feel friendship is free flowing.
What do we need? But do we even need to be friends?
Yeah, but we do. I think okay.
If it's an opportunity
Maybe
to choose
semantics,
your
guys,
family.
because I feel like it's a necessary thing, and there's really no pressure at all. That for me is the beauty of it.
Sure.
I don't have to see you every day. True. I don't have to talk to you every day. True. And yet we are friends. When I see you, we will click. We will. But can we also not just be loose in the way we behave as friends? To say, fine, I don't have to see you every day, but it doesn't mean I don't have to talk to you. I can talk to you 3 years later. No, but that's not an expectation.
This man is busy at work. He's got what. There's just so much happening for you to want to place that burden on me and say, no, let's not be loose. We are friends, but put some effort now.
Nah, I completely disagree with you guys.
There are important things where I should be exerting that effort, as opposed to now wanting to ensure that Ntanda's tender heart is well taken care of and he sleeps well at night because he knows that I'll phone him and say, yo, you do.
Maybe-
and then if I
maybe-
don't,
maybe
he
let me
feels
put it
that
No,
this way.
but why are we
Maybe let me
demonizing that need
Go on.
to check
Tell
on
us.
each other as
Tell
guys?
us.
Why are we
Tell us, go on.
demonizing that need?
Let me put it this way. Pastor Kubeka posted something just recently where he had come together with some of his friends from, I think he said from Bethel, guys that he went to varsity with, something like that, right? And all that crew had just been notified that someone that they went to varsity with had been arrested for over 6 months for like a parking ticket or something like that. It was like something very flimsy, something he shouldn't have been arrested for.
Sure.
And he was arrested and for a very long time, right? So he says the guys, how they found out, one of the guys tried to call this guy and didn't find him, then called the wife, and then the wife then notified this guy that, hey, this is the problem we're facing. So his lament was this, that this one in prison had severed ties with it, like he had cut out all his friends. He was living in isolation practically by himself and his wife and his kids. And nobody knew anything that was happening in his life, such that when he disappeared, nobody recognized or realized that he had disappeared. He then says, the guys came together, they put money together, they hired a lawyer, they went and they fought the case and they won, right? And they brought him out. Now, this is what he takes, this is what he takes home from that situation. He says, guys, we need to be brothers. The thing of, he's my friend, I know him, this and that. Yes, it's okay, but it's not something to anchor yourself on. You've got,
But again,
What do you expect?
this
be a brother.
But this is where the problem is.
Sure.
Because we men, we gents, and our greatest achievement is in solving situations. So our brotherhood then shines when Gugu is in an accident and he needs help from us. That's brotherhood.
Okay.
We need to go. But why don't we celebrate? In the absence of problems, in the absence of being in jail, in the absence of an accident, in the absence of you being sick or needing money, celebrate the little things. Sure, boy, you create it one, and you kumbula and we might not say I love you, but still, there's that whole way of doing things. And this is where my problem is. So when you can only be, or brotherhood comes in when there's a need.
The problem is that you have a problem.
Actually, you're the
I know, I'm
Let me ask you something.
What's in this tree?
I'm not saying that don't have that type of relationship. I'm just saying that maybe we need to define what this whole friendship is. Because as I've come to observe friendship, I don't want that. I want brotherhood. Friendship to me, as I've observed, correct me if I'm wrong, says it's his birthday. You buy him a cake. Your birthday comes up. You buy the cake, you celebrate, and your birthday comes up. He doesn't buy you the cake, no celebration, no checking out.
No.
Wait, let me finish, man. Let's calm down. Next year, same thing happens. Never buys you. You're the one that's constantly proactive. He's your friend, like him. And what about, hey, we grew up together, we're nine and what's on us. We click. But there's no reciprocation.
Sure.
Do you continue with the type of relationship? You call him a friend?
Do you know what? It's birthday kakuku. And it's, injalo, show ntwana, injalo, goodbye. That's it. Next time I'm sharp into injalo, fine. Show boy, shy boy, kanjalo food. That's really friendship between brothers. Barely too emotive, but also not lack of emotion as well.
You're moving very, very fast. Now you've been phoning X, say, show injalo, that's you. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't reciprocate,
well, that's it.
Do you consider him a friend?
I do. And maybe there's another part to it.
Sure.
And I remember you talking about it. You are maybe a friend to you, but that does not necessarily mean you are a friend to me.
Fine. If we put it
that one, mina umngani wakho. Awushithi umngani wami.
Sure.
And but can we also again?
And is that fine? You accept that?
No, I don't think it's fine. Because there's no reciprocation. No, not necessarily. Because reciprocation is a human need. It's like doing this. When you give something, like nine, it's banana, right? Banana or whatever. And she doesn't say anything.
Sure.
She walks away.
Yeah. She's entitled to.
Yes, that's fine. But does it really make you feel okay?
But why must it be about you?
No, Ash. You can't just be giving and just
not
giving and not expecting. I don't think. I think. What are we trying to be here? Superhuman?
And the problem with that, is that inevitably somebody is going to fall off from the circle of friendships. Wait. I don't know what the story is about this pastor. Mm-hmm. But when he got to a point where there was so much giving, but he's unable to give, and he's remaining within this circle of friends, is dependent on reciprocating, and he simply cannot. And we can junta each other and come, we are here for you, don't worry, even if you're unable and what's or not, we're gonna have a bride, bring and share. Even if you don't want, but even if you don't have the meat, we'll cover you. Nothing gets to people. And even within the closed discussions and whatsoever, you feel it that I'm not reciprocating. Mm-hmm. You feel it that I don't belong. And if that is the basis for friendship, to reciprocate, then I don't want friendship.
No, but that's not the basis. The basis of friendship is, and I think you guys come in and help me not to get drowned a lot. But the basis of friendship, when Jonathan and David were friends, loved him to the point of death, to a point where the SDA preachers love this. Is there any amongst the house of David? Is there any? Is there any? So and they love this to a point where, that's what I'm saying. For me, friendship is such an eternal thing that outlasts everything. That's why Jesus then speaks to in the book of John chapter 15. He said, "I have called you friend."
Sure.
Because whatever the Father has told me or let me know, I've made known unto you. This is I've called you brothers. And as nithatha kulentoka brothers, uJesu kakhulu ngama brothers. uJesu khuluma ngabangani. I have called you my friends. For whatever the Father has told me, I've told unto you. And we cannot sit here and say to ourselves, it's okay that I'm your friend, I give in, I pour, but you don't, and I'm supposed to be fine with that. That's not it. I'm supposed to have an expectation that I have an expectation of ukuzo that I don't have for someone else out there. I wouldn't mind not talking to another person for the next 20 years, but I would mind not talking to Kuzo for the next 20 years. He's my friend.
You're very emotional and passionate.
Oh, niggas don't choose.
I wish I could say
guys, come in and help me out.
Can I ask a question?
Who has to right now?
I wish I could say that. Almost convinced me, but you didn't.
Can I ask a question? Are we discussing the depth of the relationship, or are we discussing the relevance of the relationship?
Both.
Because if we're discussing the depth of the relationship, the issue of brotherhood then comes into perspective, right? If you are a brother, it does not matter what is in front of you. You are going to use whatever resource that is there to make sure that the brother is okay. Because a brother, what happens with a brother is this. When you have a brother, you grow with the brother. It's a whole definition of a brother. You grow with the brother. If the brother is not growing, then the brother is sinking you. Yeah. Because you are always coming in to spend and spend
okay.
and spend.
You know,
and spend,
no, I'm sitting
right?
here thinking about, so should no can so bang No. You're not my friend, you're not my friend.
I'm your brother.
Look, I think the Bible even references a friend who sticks closer than what?
The brother.
That's all. So if brother would think a pants, if friendship in a peasant,
because the brotherhood, you don't choose your brothers. They are imposed by the lottery of birth. But friendship, you
It's a
are
choice.
Yeah. It's just saying, look, there are some dynamics there with these blood brothers, and let's talk about the real deal. Let's talk about
blood.
For me, and from my understanding, even from the perspective of how Jesus puts it across, even from what Umta was referencing. Yeah. For me, if friendship is the height of relationship.
yes.
That's for you.
And as Gents, I'm happy we're having this discussion because we never have this discussion.
Because man, I'm the confusion.
I appreciate you. I also appreciate the fact that with Amajita, it's easy. We don't talk for a long time. I call you, you call me. We are clicker, everything flows.
Yeah.
But I think there's a risk to that. And I'm saying this from a point of self-reflection. There is a risk of normalizing dysfunction.
Yes.
I want to confess that it's not okay for me to go for so long without checking on my friends. I appreciate that. Anytime I'm going to check on them, touch base with them, we're going to be fine. I appreciate that. But I don't think it's okay that we can go so long and we've normalized dysfunction.
I'll check up on you. Once in a while I'm gonna phone you, hey Kuzo, how's it? What's happening?
Sure.
If once a quarter or whatever the case is.
Sure.
But if I walked in the street and then people ask me what is the nature of your relationship with Kuzo, I can't say with friends. I don't know if it's because it's lost its meaning. Maybe you guys just have to redefine it for me. You constantly posting on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people reacting there. Who are those people? Facebook says they're your friends. Mm-hmm. So I see.
No, they're not.
No, that's Facebook. Now we're getting into the Olympics of semantics.
No. Can I say something to you? We're not getting into the Olympics or semantics.
We're not going to debate on brotherhood and versus friendship.
The point that I'm making
sure.
is friendship has become the way that we observe and see what this so-called friendship is. For me, it's as it appears on Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg has properly used it. He saw how people...
No, but we can't begin defining friendship from when Facebook started. We had the concept of friendship before the internet.
Exactly. It has always...
And what is it?
It was what Jesus said, a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Let's wait.
Which is based on the concept of I care deeply about you and I show it. Yeah. Like, and we this is where my argument is. I care deeply about you and I show it. And it's an active continuation of things. I don't do a once off. I will not view once your and I'm not gonna do view once it's a continuation.
You already say that you're gonna have an issue when I don't reciprocate. So if you say that you care deeply about me and you will show it, then keep showing it. But don't then become demotivated or whatever.
But why shouldn't I? Because I'm pouring into you and I'm expecting you to do the same. Why? But if you're not going to do that, then it should be And then this is where the good part about friendship is. I can tell you the truth. Oh, no, boy, I don't like what you've done. And I think it's this, and not just friendship, but men have a way of just telling each other where to get off. really well. Yeah, and even friends is even better. Men who are friends, it's even worse. They will tell them, no, they're coming up, I don't like, exactly, and exactly. No, that.
If you do this again, we're not going to be friends.
No, not necessarily that. No, not necessarily that. Yeah. But I think what Kuku is saying, I agree with him. We cannot not just normalize dysfunctionality, celebrate it. We can't. We can't sit down and be nonchalant about friendship.
Here's my question.
And this is nothing this is nothing to do with being emotional or whatever the case could be. We cannot deny who we are. Sure. And what our makeup is.
Hold on. Let's go back to something very important.
And I define that relationship. I always tell people
wait, let's hear from the past.
Mamel. You're discussing relevance instead of discussing depth.
So it's in my for this.
Uti if you are not, if he is pouring into the friendship and you are not pouring into the friendship, so if he is being relevant in your life and you are not being relevant in his life, then he's your friend and you are not his friend.
And he has an issue.
Right? And he has an issue with that. So and that's what I mean.
He being my friend must then come to an end.
But now, here's what I mean. This is what I mean. You are discussing relevance instead of discussing the actual relationship. If Mta is pouring into you and he continuously pours into you, right? It must be clear that Mta is actually, there's an analogy I saw recently where there's a donkey that falls into a ditch and the villagers come together. They decide it's an old donkey, let's just bury it. And then they pour soil and they keep pouring soil. And the donkey at some point realizes that, I can dust myself and step on top of the soil, right? Until,
gets to the surface.
Right? Until the donkey, until it gets to the surface. And here's the point that I'm making, that you can't be discussing relevance when you are supposed to be discussing depth and the actual relationship, which is, if you are pouring into him, you are realizing that, this guy actually needs me to pour into him. It does not necessarily necessitate a reciprocation. It necessitates that you see the need. That's why you keep pouring into the need, into the situation or the friendship, so that at a point or an appointed time, let me be a pastor. At an appointed time, then the relationship will blossom and become something else. It will grow and it will move in a direction.
You are coming well. If your initial analogy, the first part of the conversation, if that is what friendship is, then I want it.
Okay.
If friendship says that, I appreciate this guy.
Sure.
And I want to show him my appreciation. And I begin to pour into him without expecting him to pour back. Then I love that relationship.
Are you saying there's no goal?
The goal, let's leave it for the soccer field. Listen, man.
No. Every relationship, my man, every relationship has a focus, it has a goal. We are going somewhere.
No, exactly.
So let me bring me to the relationship.
My man.
Don't bring you. And expect.
Yes, I agree. We're not dictating. Sure.
So I am hoping that one day we'll be there and then we will be equal. No, don't hope. When I do your part,
yes.
If I do anything to pour into you at whatever magnitude, either bigger than you or lesser than you, or don't pour at all, don't stop pouring. It's the same problem
Yes,
that
no, I
Christians
agree.
have. Let me
I
tell
agree.
you what, this thing goes deeper than what you guys are trying to define here as friendship. It even goes into matters of salvation. I've seen how Christians behave with people. You're
Sure.
going to people's homes,
Sure.
and then you start feeding them, you start meeting
Sure.
them at their point of need.
Sure.
But you're not genuine about it.
You want them
It's
to
not about
come.
them, it's about you.
Nah.
And then, so at some point in
No, I
time,
hear you.
when you guys then
I hear
realize
you.
that no, but hey, we've been feeding here and they're not getting baptized, then you stop feeding. But the hunger does not suddenly disappear.
No, you don't stop feeding, but can we be logical? You don't feed a baby and not expect them to grow.
grow, yes.
Ayekuthi hayi awunandaba hayi kakhulu kodwa uyadla umntwana kodwa
No,
kakhulu.
kumele akhule.
Ayikho le nto le
Then what do
boy.
you do?
So I'm
So
feeding
when
a
the baby
child.
stops growing, then what do you do?
Then I need to find out what the problem is.
So you
Kunama growth hormones angekho right now. So we need to go check this thing. That's why you need to
and
sit
that's
down.
the love that you have for the baby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm gonna come to you and say, but
in
Ashley
your
boy,
friendship scenario, you are not going to, once you realize, nah, this guy is not growing, you're gonna go somewhere else and find another baby.
And maybe that's
how you all
the
behave.
opportunity
You
and
are-
liberty that we
You don't
have.
go and say that family, why is that family not getting baptized? What's wrong? What could we be doing better? You just say, waste of resources. Let's go and find another.
Nah, that's a different example.
No, it's not, that's exactly how you behave. That's why earlier on you say that you get to the point there's no reciprocation.
No,
then
but
you
I
just
talk
change
to
because
you.
keep
I talk to
scoring.
even Jesus, my went, hey, this one is attached to idols. Me again, who needs to
Can I bring
Who
in
needs
some
to
dynamic that maybe will either simplify or complicate? I don't know.
Sure.
But I think like is a more profound concept than love.
What?
Like is a
Like-
more
like-
no,
like-
I don't know.
I want to
no,
deal
no.
with the issue that at hand. I think as Christians,
Yeah.
we are called to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Love is duty.
Yeah.
So don't get blown away by somebody that says they love you. That's duty, whether they like it or not. The Bible enjoins them to love you.
Yeah.
So when you are pouring, you're doing your Christian duty. Whether there will be reciprocation or not, that's Christian duty. But when you like somebody,
Ipoint bengihamba nayo le.
that is something else.
Yeah.
So when somebody has poured onto me, and I feel I like what's going on, and I want to return
To
that,
reciprocate.
then it can grow into a friendship,
On your tab, right?
something that grows beyond the bare minimum Christian duty. So I think it's what is complicating this issue is that
Liking me, but always failing to like you back.
there is no clear demarcation line.
Friend.
Actually, no. Here's the thing: there's never a point where we called and said, "Ashley, yeah, can we be friends?"
Yeah.
Do you appreciate that?
Yeah.
And also, a lot of people appreciate
And
that.
when we say that we're friends.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And also the dysfunction, by the way, whether it's friendship, dating, courtship, marriage, is also the same. There is no clear cut. No, today from this point at 12 o'clock, I'm stopping to like you. It's a gradual fall off. But the point that I'm really getting to is what complicates this conversation is that the issue of relationships has this element of gradual coming together or falling off. There's no clear demarcation to say at this point now we're friends.
Yes.
We are no longer friends and so
Yeah,
forth.
just
So
right.
it's so gray. You can hardly recount or any friendship that you have, and you had an explicit conversation with that person to say,
I'm not gonna speak again.
Sure.
Plan, continue with this thing of personal friendships. You're just setting
A thing of yours.
At some
Thing of yours,
point-
wakhuluma ngathi demon. It's thing of yours. That must be exercised.
At some point in time, someone is going to be disappointed.
But that's part of the journey. That's part of any social construct. Disappointment and expectations and stuff like that.
Look,
I think in line with that, as we get to the closing remarks of all of this.
Sure.
I think it's such a serious thing when really Jesus says, "I have made you friends." That's saying you are
You're my
private.
friends if you do whatsoever I command you.
Yes.
Selfish, eh?
Yeah, No,
Actually, I can't believe you're saying
I can't believe you're saying that too. All right, niggas any juice. I told you there's something.
I think
in
this juice has little leaven, some little leaven.
Leaving. So, because at the end of the day, guys, when Jesus says you are my friends, you're privy to things that the common man is not.
Sure.
Peter, James, and John.
Say it for what it is.
And yes,
For you to be
true.
a friend, you must do as you're commanded.
Yes, exactly.
Stop doing.
No, not necessarily. I think out there, as Amachita, we should really form meaningful relationships one with another.
Sure.
Whether we call it friendship or brotherhood, at the end of the day, we should honestly have genuine relationships with one another.
When I imagine.
Yeah, man.
Now you talk.
Exactly.
Now he's your friend now.
Call it.
He's your friend now.
Akafuna ama-definitions. But let's have meaningful relationships. Cover each other as Amachita. And let's be brothers. You know, let's be friends.
People say in the comments.
Yeah, I would love to hear that too.
Friendship, acquaintance, or let's just be brothers.
The point is,
Hey ladies, please tell us also about your disappointments, the expectations that you had in friendships, and how it's led you where you are. And you know, I'm talking to you who is listening.
but guys have
You know
more
exactly
stable
what I'm
friendships
talking
than
about. Type it
ladies.
down there.
That's the truth.
They what?
But
More stable friendships than ladies. We barely change our friends.
Yes, that's true.
Sorry, my conversation.
I have something that I also wanted to just say on the issue. Whichever, because I think we've been battling with the definition here, whichever way we define it, but I think the utility of any relationship is its value. What is it bringing to me and to you? And also I want just, taking from the discussion we had earlier, relationships and all that. I think as men, we hardly talk about real stuff. We bottle up a lot of things. We act fine. We will gather, laugh, talk about soccer, talk about everything else.
Except.
I think, was it Simon Sinek or Trevor Noah was actually saying that ladies actually do this very well. They would meet and talk about everything.
Yeah.
Cry, laugh, and he was saying, but men always find some third-party distraction. Let's meet over fishing, over soccer, over. It's like you need some intermediator, but as strategic distraction from the actual conversation that you must have.
Exactly.
We never meet to say, hey, Chita, I'm Savugero.
Yeah.
Fresh.
You know, those kind of conversations. Where are we supposed to have those conversations if we are not going to be having them? Then next thing you hear, Ukuku is gone.
Yeah, Kuku's gone.
And you know, we never talk enough about the survivor's guilt that you go through when somebody close to you commits suicide. And you never knew what they were going through. But I think it comes back to what is the content of our friendships? Are they so authentic? And my other problem would be how normally church friendships and relationships are formulated. You know, something that is birthed from church is by default superficial and hypocritical.
You can't say that.
No, he can't.
Maybe let's close.
No, I can't say that.
Let's close.
I can't say that.
Let's close.
Can I give something that we have not, maybe we touched on it, we didn't exhaust it. Our ability to be elastic or our elasticity needs to expand itself because it's part of a fruit of a spirit, patience, right? And that comes also when you're defining love. Love is also patient, right? That elasticity gives room to build meaningful brotherhood, meaningful friendship, meaningful relationships that will allow for him not to reciprocate, but for you to also pour and see the gratitude in the little smile or the lighting up when you do something for him. Until that time when he says, no man, actually I want to do something, not because I'm reciprocating, I just want to do something from Mta because I love him. That's the depth, right? So we need to be able to build elasticity.
Sure.
So that when we meet to speak, then as logic beings, right? Logical beings,
Sure.
as problem solving beings.
Sure.
When we meet up and akusavuki, it's easy to say, no man, that mina sizwe yilokhu nalo Kegel exercise or something like that, you know, stuff like that. Then it's easy to come to that point.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think I agree with you. Please find Logi and Mazu. But thank you so much for joining us for our session. We've had a great time today talking about dating and marriage and then friendship within us. Ukuku, Umta, Uesh, and it was powerful right there. Thank you. Don't forget to like and comment. We'll see you on the next one. Danko!